Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 22 career mode, and today we're here for the 14th round of our MotoGP season for the Indian Grand Prix. Now, if you didn't see the last episode at the San Marino Grand Prix, I really do recommend you go check that one out because it's probably the best race that we've had all season. I decided to do a last to first challenge, which obviously means lots of action throughout the race, lots of battling with AI, and everybody in the comments seemed to really enjoy it. So if you haven't seen that one, I do recommend you go check that one out before we do get into this one. But of course, like with the Kazakhstan Grand Prix, it's not really the correct track. It is going to be the Aragon GP, as you can kind of see in the background there. That's a screenshot of Aragon. So that's the actual track that we'll be doing, but again, it's just because I have to obviously repurpose existing circuits. Now, previously at Aragon, my pace hasn't been too good. It's a very, very strong circuit for the AI, but I did seem to remember in Moto2 we had a very good battle with Augusto Fernandez that was very, very enjoyable. So hopefully we can have something quite similar this weekend, going into that with some battles with some of the AI that we're fighting for the championship with. But before we do get to this weekend, of course, you can see we've got a notification on the headquarters where we've actually got our engine upgrade finally coming in for this weekend. I can't remember exactly what it was, whether it was more power or more fuel efficiency, but either way I think it is going to help us out quite a bit, and it'll be pretty useful at Aragon because there's a couple of quite long straights here, so an improved engine will always be better. But without any further ado then, let's head into the weekend. Hopefully our pace is good, but I'm not going to have any idea until we've done free practice. So then, at the end of practice, you can see we did top the timesheets. I thought I may as well show the combined results, because I always show FP3's results, but I may as well actually just show the combined ones, and then there's no sort of question about whether we're going through to the next session or not. But you can see I was fastest by a decent margin in the end. I'm actually very, very happy with our pace, in all honesty. I did a few laps on mediums, and I was in P6, I think, at that point, like about 0.6 off the top time, but a couple of the top AI did have a bit more time. I went back to the pits, checked the combined times, I was actually down in 17th, came back out, set a softs, used a lot of power mode 3, and I improved by like 1.3 seconds, so I put myself in a really, really good position here, and I'm just quite happy that whilst on track with AI, even my medium pace was pretty good. So going into qualifying, I am quite confident, especially if I can just pull off a similar lap to this. They're probably going to just about maybe get into the 45s in qualifying. You can see if they find 3/10, they'll be in the 45s. So if I can just find a little bit of time, then I'm pretty much in there. I'm actually quite interested to see how this qualifying session goes. So without any further ado, let's get into it and see if we can take pole position. So here we are then in qualifying 2, and you can see Marc Marquez and Jack Miller are both not in this session. So once again, the two of those seem to be tailing off this season. They both had really good parts of the season. Obviously, Miller's start to the season was amazing. Marquez's sort of middle period, Mugello onwards, was pretty good, but they do seem to have dropped off. So I think, to be honest, I need to adjust my focus. Looking at Bezzecchi, looking at Marini, those are probably the big threats. Bastianini, of course, is another championship contender. Binder, Zarco as well, who's come through Q1 with my teammate Alex Marquez. So there are still some big hitters in here. But of course, like I said, in free practice, we did do the time on softs. I wasn't too worried about using up a set of tyres because, to be honest, a soft tyre is not going to be the race tyre under like really any circumstances here. It's just too hot. It's a bit like Catalonia in a way that the soft tyre is never going to work in the race, unfortunately. Even though I think a soft front would be quite helpful, it will just overheat in the first sector because there's a lot of trail braking, quite a few hard braking points. I think it will just overheat the tyre, and you can easily lose the front when the side of the tyre starts to overheat. But here we are on track then. We're coming we're coming through the final corner, about to start a qualifying lap. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully, if we can just get anywhere near what I did in practice, it should be a good time. You'll also probably notice as I'm riding around this weekend that the curbs are a different colour to normal. I've changed the curb colour of the Aragon circuit to match the colour that's used at the Indian Grand Prix, just to try and make it feel a bit different. And it definitely takes your eye, like it definitely feels slightly different to the normal Aragon just by changing the curb colour. We've got 3 reds currently. Obviously we are the first person on track, so that does make sense, but it seems like we have closed up a bit to Aleix in front of us as well. So look how much we have closed up to Aleix here as we come out of the last corner up towards the line. What is this lap time going to be? 46.4, so actually quite a bit worse than what I did in the previous session. We're going up the inside of Aleix now. I've just bashed him out the way into turn 1. Sorry, Aleix, didn't mean to be so aggressive. I actually wasn't even trying to overtake him, to be honest with you. But I'll go for another one because it probably won't be good enough based on what they did in practice. I think we might get a slight improvement as we come up towards the line. In fact, we've not, because I sort of lost it on the outside curb. It was such a minor improvement that actually cost me on the run to the line. But there you go then, 2 very consistent lap times, a 46.4 and a 46.5. The 45.7 was a bit of a fluke. I did have AI sort of in front of me on that lap, so I had something to kind of aim at on those laps. I know I had Aleix on this one, but I was much closer to the AI in practice, and I also probably got a bit of a slipstream off them, so maybe that's part of it. And the lap was probably just better, because I was surprised by the lap time when I crossed the line. It was kind of unbelievable, so I guess it was a pretty good lap, it seems. But we're currently on pole by 9 thousandths of a second ahead of Oliveira, so I imagine we're not going to keep pole position, but honestly, I don't really see myself improving massively more, so I think I might just leave it and just see where we actually end up at the end of the session when all the times have been put in. So at the end of the session then, you can see we're actually bumped down to 4th position, but we're literally just a 10th off pole position. So if we just found a little bit of time anywhere on the lap, really, we perhaps could have been on pole position. But you can see how close it is. Marini's on pole, 25 thousandths ahead of Bagnaia in second, who is then only another 5 ahead of Bezzecchi in third. So you can see they're literally all within 300ths of a second of each other. Now, you'd be pretty mad if you're off pole by 300ths of a second and then you're not even starting in second place, you're actually in third. It's ridiculous. It's very, very close between the top 3 there, and unfortunately it's probably 3 riders that I kind of want to beat, although I guess Bagnaia, he's crashed so much he's not really anywhere in the championship, but Marini and Bezzecchi, last few races have really been on a charge, so we do need to watch out for them. But there we go then, we may as well get straight into the race. This could be a proper good one. Usually you do get some pretty good racing with the AI around here because of how fast they are. It's a short run in turn 1 as well, so it's actually difficult to make passes, so there could be a little bit of contact down into turn 1 for either myself or the AI, so I'm quite looking forward to getting into this. So let's get into it then, and I'll see you on the grid. So here we are then, down on the grid, looking at Bagnaia in second position, and I must say, the weather has changed things very slightly. Well, I guess it's not. I was kind of considering for a second maybe to go on a soft tyre, but I think it is probably the better option to go on the mediums. You can see how worn they are after, what, 2 laps? You can see 53% on the left-hand side of the front and 47% of the left-hand side on the rear. So it's the left-hand side that gets a proper battering around here. Obviously, it is a Marc Marquez circuit, which, again, is surprising that he's doing so poorly. I know, of course, it's branded as the Indian Grand Prix, but in the code it still knows it's Aragon, so you'd expect to see him performing. But again, the game just seems to defy all odds. But yeah, I think we'll go with the medium for this one. I'm actually really happy with where we are on the grid. I was thinking that I'm going to have to make up a lot more positions. Like going into the weekend, I was thinking maybe I'll be like 8th, 9th, maybe not even getting into Q2. So I was thinking I was going to have to make up a lot of positions. But we're a P4 here, so we're right in the mix. Without any further ado, let's start the race. I'm definitely looking forward to this one.
The green flag waves from the back of the grid at Aragon. Everything ready for the off. Into first gear, full gas, and off we go.
So then Marini on pole position, Bagnaia alongside him, Bezzecchi in third, so it's a VR46 Academy front row, but the lights are on then, waiting for them to get here at the Indian Grand Prix. The lights out and away we go, and the initial launch hasn't been too good, but we have still passed Bezzecchi on the run into the first corner. We're at the inside of Marini as well. Bagnaia has the whole shot, but Marini back round the outside of me, so to be fair, Marini stuck it in there. I can see Fabio Quartararo has gone at the inside through turn 2. A bit of contact with Fabio, a bit of contact with Marini as well. Fabio then just brakes for some reason. He'd got the move done there. Fabio was through, and all of a sudden we've overtaken Bagnaia as well. So I'm not sure what the AI were doing through that sequence of corners. Obviously myself, Marini and Quartararo were going 3 wide, so of course that was a little bit strange, and there was a little bit of contact because of that, because I was sort of up the inside of Marini, and then I saw Quartararo up the inside try to give him a bit more room, which to be fair was probably unnecessary, probably was a bit of a mistake on my front. But then Quartararo rolls out the throttle, we pass him, but then Bagnaia just goes really slow through the right-hander and loses his position to me, and he's now lost a further 2 positions to Quartararo and Marini, so I think this could be potentially the first time this season we're fighting Fabio Quartararo for a race win. Because, well, just fighting Fabio Quartararo full stop, I guess, because Quartararo has been absolutely nowhere pretty much this whole season, except from maybe Portimao, and he's hit me on the back now, so Quartararo, he does mean business. But I do seem to remember he was like P3 at Portimao till he fell off, and then he's been pretty much nowhere, but now he's taken the lead through the chicane now. It's a pretty good move on the inside, I must say. But in the situation with Fabio, then we should be able to blast past him. Shows you how realistic the game is that the Yamaha is actually holding its own on the straight. We'll have a look then. He brakes pretty early. Up the inside we go to the last corner. Back up into the lead once again past Fabio Quartararo. Although he's coming back up the inside, I've had to leave him a bit of space, so Fabio comes back through once again, but we should be able to get the drive, a little bit of power mode 3, we're right on the back of him, we're going to go on the curb, the bike squirrels all over the place, didn't like that, it really shook its head with a bit of a tank slapper, but once again on the brakes, up the inside of Fabio, that is just where the player has such an advantage over the AI on this game, on the brakes, and we retake the lead from Fabio once again, but Fabio's up for a fight today. I didn't even see where he qualified on the grid, I didn't really even take note of him, but he had such a good start. I saw him right behind us as we went through turn 1. Obviously, like I said, he tried to move up the inside. He's obviously found his way past Bagnaia, and then he's obviously found his way past me very briefly through the chicane. It caught me off guard a little bit, because usually when they dive you there, they make a bit of a pig's ear of it, but he actually did a really good job of the whole section, because he got out the corner really well as well, which again, they do tend to mess up when they've passed you on the entry, so I was actually quite surprised and almost... Oh no, Fabio! I was just bigging him up, and what even was that? Like, what even was that? Because he was just past me, and then he just crashed. I've had to take to the escape road to not get caught up in it. We've lost the lead to Luca Marini in that, but that's a shame, because I was looking forward to actually battling with Fabio. And he makes a very bizarre error and allows Marini to take the lead, because obviously I had to take avoiding action of his bike. And now making a lot of mistakes, allowing Marini to get away. I was about to say that Bagnaia's a little bit off the back of us, so we don't have to worry too much about him. But I've basically just brought him into contention, so we're going to have to watch out for Bagnaia now as well. But not sure what happened to Fabio there, but it has pretty much given Marini a free opportunity to try and take this win. I think that would be 2 race wins in a row for him as well, because I'm pretty sure he won at San Marino. It was one of the two. I know they are 1-2, but I think it might have been Marini that actually did bring that one home. So it could be 2 races in a row for Marini. But of course, if I've got something to say about it, it won't be the case. And they're just so slow through this last corner. What is going on? It seems to be like picking up the throttle. They're just not doing it early enough, and they're braking way too early. And we've retaken the lead. We were about 6/10 behind him going into that corner, and we passed him on the exit of it. This is supposed to be a really strong track for them, but they're just not capitalising on their strengths anywhere particularly. They're riding in a very strange manner, like we saw, of course, on the opening lap when they were sort of rolling out the throttle in places. It seemed like Marini almost rolled out the throttle through the last corner and allowed me to sort of just ride alongside him. So maybe the AI knows something that I don't. I really don't know. But either way, of course, we back up into the lead of the race. But I know Marini's going to probably attack me into this right-hander like Quartararo did. But I've just messed it up completely. I've taken the escape road for the 2 laps in a row. And we've rejoined once again now in 3rd position. So we've lost another position. But this time it was all my own doing. Nothing to do with Fabio Quartararo at all. Now, Leishy's probably going to try and ride up the inside. We're just going to make sure that doesn't happen. But I'll tell you what, I've left myself with a bit of work to do now then. 2 very fast Ducatis in front of me. And I really want to try and catch them up, to be honest, at a track where they are a lot quicker than me. Well, generally, this race not so much. I've just made a mistake there and given them the position. Bagnaia is going for the lead on Marini in the same manner that we did it on him, so it does seem that Marini in particular is slow through that last corner, although it does seem like the AI as a whole, because again, we've caught right up to them. We're going to pass Marini into turn 1. I'm going to try and let the brake off on the inside of Bagnaia as well, so 2 for the price of 1, but we're not going to get that one stopped underneath Bagnaia. I just had to sort of pass him as well, so that we didn't collide in the corner. But there we go, we've made a position up then, we're back past Marini, back up into 2nd position, so now we need to watch out for Bagnaia, but he takes that right-hander a lot better than he did on the opening lap, so it doesn't give us an opportunity there. And through turn 8, we've closed up even more, so this time, for the first time in a few laps, we've actually made this corner stick. We had a little bit of contact there with Bagnaia, just ran him up the back, so apologies for that. Going to make sure he definitely keeps the position. Obviously don't want to take the lead like that, but he just went a lot slower than I expected through the change of direction. But here we are then, going to try and set Bagnaia up for the straight. Marini looks at the inside of me, but here we go then. Bagnaia using the ride-out device. I'm using a little bit of Palmo 3 to get in his slipstream. But here we go then, to the left-hand side. Are we going to be able to pass Bagnaia into the last corner? I assume we will. Well, when he brakes that early, it's not much of a contest, is it? I was thinking we might be a bit more even on the brakes, but he braked so early. Although he's back up the inside of me through the last corner, I had to pit the bike up a little bit there, so Bagnaia comes back through. Marini now tries to come back through, so suddenly, all of a sudden, he's not so bad through the last corner. But look at my improvement delta here. We improved by about 7/10 of a second. That's what not going off the track does for you. And back up the inside, once again, of Bagnaia into turn 1. 2 laps in a row there, we've passed him. But this time, we've got the bike stopped, and we've got the lead once again as we start the penultimate lap of the race. Tell you what, this one has been a bit of a cracker, been a bit crazy at some points, but the battling has been quite good. Just a shame the way it ended with Fabio Quartararo, because I really was looking forward to battling him, but he just, I think he crashed on the curb, I think is what actually happened, but it was just so bizarre. So Bagnaia is trying to get me in the change of direction this time, and I think he's done it. Up the inside he goes. But we're going to try and go back around the outside of Bagnaia through turn 10. We've just about done it. He had to roll the throttle slightly there. Not sure, again, why they do that. Sometimes they try and avoid contact that's not really going to happen. I guess maybe he thought it was going to close him off. But if he kept his nose in there, I would have left him the room for his nose. But we managed to keep it around the outside there. So leading into this chicane section is both good and bad. Obviously, it gives me the run onto the straight ahead of them. But it does mean they are going to probably try to tap me. As you can see, Bagnaia tries there. Tried on the entry, cost himself in the middle, and wasn't able to get into the second part of the chicane, which is kind of what I thought Quartararo would do earlier on when I said they'd make a bit of a pig's ear of it. But here we go then into the final turn. Because we actually had the lead going into the corner, we probably can use our braking performance a little bit more. We're not going to follow them through there. And we're about to start the final lap of the race. We've got half a second to Bagnaia that we made up in that one corner there. So we've just got to keep it rubber side down. And I think we could take home the victory here. But of course, Bagnaia's not going to let me have it that easily. Bagnaia comes up the inside once again, so I made a little bit of a mistake there. Probably went down a gear too many, and again we seem to be swooping around the outside, but this time I think Bagnaia's sort of kept the throttle in a bit more, and we're going side by side. He's got the run actually down towards turn 12, but I should have the braking performance. We've had a little bit of contact on the way in there, and I think that's probably allowed Bagnaia to have the inside. To be fair, it was kind of my fault that we had contact, because I came across on it very slightly. So we've lost the lead, and we've also got Marini right behind us as well, so we have got to watch out for that, because you know what the AI are like. They do smell blood a bit, and we've just been bashed by Marini, so that just tells you everything you need to know. And all of a sudden, we're now down out of the pack. We've had contact with Bezzecchi. We've picked up a track limits warning. Martin's not very happy, and all of a sudden, we're down to P5. But we're in the slipstream then of Enea Bastianini. Surely we can get him into the last corner, but what looked like a potential victory there has been changed as I've been sort of picked up a bit there. We've had contact with Bezzecchi. I don't know whether that was my fault, to be honest. Bastianini tries to got the inside, but I'm not having any of it, so we're going to come P4 here. But a controversial finish to the Indian Grand Prix. So this is why this race is so difficult, because you get periods of the race like that where you kind of get an AI, they make a bit of contact with you. You kind of have to put the bike in a position to stop a crash. We got hit obviously by Marini whilst we still had a bit of lean angle. I picked the bike up to make sure the bike was stable. I therefore couldn't really turn into the next part of the corner properly. All of a sudden I've got half the grid up the inside. I'm just trying to take the corner. Bezzecchi, we had a little bit of contact there. I don't know whether I already turned in on him or not. Maybe I was a bit frustrated, was just trying to get back to the racing line as quick as possible. Down goes Bezzecchi, but in the end, unfortunately, we weren't able to get a podium spot, which isn't great because we really did deserve one after the race we had there. But Bagnaia then, of course, wins the race less than a tenth of a second ahead of Luca Marini in second place. Aleix Espargaro ends up in third position. Of course, I came home in P4. Bastianini rounds out the top 5, so for his championship, that's definitely done him some good. So we continue to lead the World Championship then. Luca Marini actually rockets up to second in the championship. So we've now got a 55-point lead over Luca Marini in second. Marc Marquez moves down to third, now 58 points back. Johan Zarco moves down to fourth. And Enea Bastianini actually rockets back up to fifth place, 70 points behind me. Now tied with Jack Miller. So Jack Miller, his championship charge has fallen off a cliff, it must be said. As for the Team's Championship then, we now lead by 30 points. I'm not sure whether the lead has gone up or down based on that. Red Bull KTM Factory Racing stay in second position, 45 points off the lead. Ducati Lenovo move back ahead of Prima Pramac, now 51 points down. And obviously Prima Pramac are 62 behind. And finally, onto the Constructors' Championship then. Ducati once again getting another win, now 135 points clear of KTM in the championship. Honda are now about 50 behind KTM, so are slowly dropping back. But like I said, the battle is behind with those three. Honda, Aprilia, Yamaha separated by 8 points. Yamaha actually dropped down to 5th, even though realistically they should have probably jumped up to 3rd because Quartararo hadn't fallen off. He would have had a really good points haul. But there you go then, that is technically the first Indian Grand Prix, but obviously just another race at Aragon in reality. A pretty decent one. So now that that race is done, we'll head back to the Career Hub, see what we get from this weekend, and then we can end off the episode. So then, from that weekend, we gained 8,400 reputation, which takes up to 320,600. As for the credits, we gained 27,880, which takes us up to 891,578. Well, hang on, we've got a notification here. The Ducati headquarters is very satisfied with your results on the track and has decided to reward you. The staff located at Bologna, Italy, dedicated to the bike's development, has been increased from 11 to 13 engineers. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we've now got some more engineers working on the bike. A bit of a shame, I guess, that we're not really going to have enough time to see the benefit of that, because obviously we've only got a few rounds in the season, but I've never had that before. Well, to be honest, it's because I haven't really done a full MotoGP season in the career mode for a while. But if we also look here in the Career Hub, you can see we've now finally got enough R&D points to upgrade the electronics, which is absolutely crazy, because we've not had anybody on there this entire time. So I've just put everybody onto an engine braking upgrade, which should now take 2 weeks. So after the next few races, we should have an engine brake increase. But with that done now then, that pretty much does bring this episode to a close. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. It's been a pretty decent race actually, much better pace than I expected. So we actually had a pretty good battle with the AI there. Obviously it was unfortunate the way it ended, but you get that. If they're close enough at the chicane, they will just do that on the last lap. So it is a bit of a shame. Very similar to the way our Moto3 race ended. But like I said, I hope you guys did enjoy that one. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.